All right, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here tonight. My name is Julie Brown. I am a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator, and yay, July is here! So I hope you guys are all as excited as I am. I am not live tonight, so you can still put comments in, and I will be able to see them later. So I am actually at a baseball tournament for my grandson, watching him play baseball, so pretty exciting. So anyway, tonight I am going to be hopefully teaching you some fun new techniques and get you excited about card making so that everybody jumps up and goes and makes card. And I know sometimes in the summertime, we may not make as many cards because it's beautiful outside and we like to be outside, but hopefully this will inspire you tonight to jump up and make some cards. So let me get some housekeeping out of the way. So for those of you that do order through me, if you're placing an order that is under $150, please use this hostess code for July. It is XV76Y6QB. You can order by going to juliebrown.stampinup.net and place your order there. Also, please check out my Pinterest and Facebook pages. It doesn't say YouTube, but YouTube also, they're all the same. It's Julie's Creative Stampin'. Most importantly, check out my blog, stampinjuliebrown.blogspot.com. That is where, when I show you extra cards, that is where I post the step-by-step instructions, because I don't do videos for all of my cards. So that is where you can get instructions for the other cards. So let's talk about what I'm doing. I promised you guys last week that I was going to show you how to make this card. So this is the card we're going to be making tonight. And it's a really fun and exciting card. So I am using this Seascape bundle, and this is the information for that. It's in the annual catalog on page 12, and the item number is 158359. So this particular set comes with the stamp set and these dies. These dies I've showed you before. They don't cut out all the way because there is two different ways that you can do cards. And if you stay at the end, I will show you both ways. Those of you that watched me do my other card using the Goldfish and the smooshing technique, you've probably already seen that. But if this is your first video that you're watching, I will show you how this cuts out and how you can use it both by not cutting it out like I'm going to do tonight, or leave it in the piece of paper. All right, so let's get started. So what do we need for this? Well, let me bring in a scrap paper so I can do sizes for you. So for this card, you are going to need a basic white card base that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then you are going to need 3 of the basic white. This is the thick one, and this is the regular. And you're going to need 3 of these, and they are 4 by 5 1/4. And then you're going to need a piece of gorgeous grape that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. A piece of gorgeous grape that is 3/4 by 3 1/2. And a piece of basic white that is 1/2 by 3 1/4. Yay! All right, so let's get started with this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually talk about the seahorses for this. So I've cut a bunch of them out prior to, but I am going to show you, I'm going to cut one more out, and I'm going to show you how I do that, just because I want you to see what I'm talking about when I say it doesn't cut it all the way out, and show you how to deal with that. So you can see I've already cut one out of this piece of paper, so I'm just going to put this one in here and run this through. And this is detailed, and sometimes you don't have to run them through twice, but again, I've explained to you I don't have a lot of room over here to pull things off. But I will give you, so I want to talk to you about, before removing it completely, you want to make sure that it does cut all the way through. So I just kind of turn it over and make sure that I can see, and this looks like it cut perfectly fine. So now I'm comfortable pulling this off the top. And maybe I'm comfortable pulling it off the top. Okay. And then I'll clean out my die later because a few pieces stayed in there. But let me just get this out of the way so I can show you what I'm talking about. So when it cuts, it leaves it in the paper. And so if this was a straight piece of paper, I could just leave it I could leave it in there and put it on a card front, and I'll show you a sample of that later. But I'm going to go ahead, and while it's still attached, I'm going to make sure all the little tiny pieces, I'm going to use my Take a Pick tool and get those out of there. So then I'm just going to come in with my snips, because this die was actually designed to use two ways, either putting color behind this and leaving it in and not cutting it out, or cutting it out. So to cut out the seahorse, you just do one little snip there, one little snip right there, and then there's two on this side. So right here in this section, right there, and then right below that little fin. So basically right above the fin and right below the fin. And then it is cut out. Oh, I don't think I got that quite. There. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how I colored these, and I've colored one already, and I need to get, you're going to need 6 of these. And so that is what the 2 of the 4 by 5 1/4 pieces, you can get 3 out of a 4 by 5 1/4. And so this one, as you can see, I have already colored, but I just wanted to walk you through and show you like how fast you can color this. It goes really fast. So I'm going to use our daubers, our sponge daubers, and our ink. So I'm going to work on this one right here. And so I am going to come in with the Gorgeous Grape first, because I'm going to kind of do the center of this one. So I'm going to grab my little dauber, and you can kind of sponge off a little bit, because you kind of want to go light at first. And I'm just going to daub the center. This one's going to be 3 colors. So again, I'm just kind of daubing the center. Now, if you want it to be darker, then you just brush like I'm doing. Once you figure out where you want your color. And I'm going to leave this dauber here because I may come back in a second, and I'll just move that stamp pad. Let me move these out of the way so I don't get extra ink on those. Then I'm going to come in with the Poppy Parade, and I'm going to do the front of this one. Okay, so again, I'm just grabbing up some ink, stamping off, and I'm just going to do like his little head or her little head, and then come down the front of this. Now, as you overlap colors, you're going to get some other, you know, like different colors, because they will kind of blend in. Okay, so there's that one. And then let me just move this out of the way. And then I'm going to come in with Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to do like the back side. And you might want to test with your colors when you first do this, just to make sure that you like those colors together. Because again, like I said, sometimes when you blend them, you get more of like a brownish color instead of a color that you like. So again, and I wanted this to be a fun and playful card, so I'm doing bright colors. All right, so there's that one. See, and it goes together. I mean, it goes pretty quickly. Okay, so now we'll bring this one in, and I'm going to bring in that Gorgeous Grape again, or actually I think I want to do Coastal Cabana. So it's kind of the same colors when I'm first starting here. So this time I'm going to put the Coastal Cabana down the center, which I think is, no, I had the Gorgeous Grape down the last center. And again, you guys can figure out the best way for you to do this. If you like to start on the edges and then come in, you know, that works. Okay, so there's my Coastal Cabana. And then I'm going to do Gorgeous Grape on the front side of this one. So I want his head and the front of his body to be the Gorgeous Grape. And again, it's, you know, it's kind of fun just playing with it a little bit and seeing, you know, what the colors make. Like I said, sometimes you're going to mix them and you're going to go, ooh, I really don't like those colors next to each other. So, you know, that's where you can play on your scratch piece of paper. And then this time for this outside, I'm actually going to bring in Daffodil Delight. And so we're going to turn this guy. And we're going to bring in some Daffodil Delight. And again, I'm just picking these bright colors because I wanted this to be fun. All right, so there's that one. But see how easy these guys are to like color? I mean, they're pretty easy to color. Okay, so now I want to bring in, let's see, what do I want to do next? So I think I want to bring in, and I want to bring in a Granny Apple Green. Let's see how that goes. And we'll put that with, so I'm going to do Poppy Parade this time down the center of this one. And I know this might be boring watching me do all of this, but you know, it's fun. It's fun to play. Okay, so I'm just going to put the Poppy Parade there. And then I'm going to come in with Granny Apple Green. And these are the two colors that I try not to touch a bunch because they do tend to turn a little brown between these two. So if you're not liking the darker color, but I wanted to bring in this pop of Granny Apple Green on this one. And I think I'll do that one. Do I want to do the outside of that one? I'm kind of liking that. Actually, I think I'll bring Coastal Cabana for this outside. You don't have to do 3 colors. You could do just 2. Because again, when you combine them, sometimes they make a color that you really like. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of get the tips down here. All right, so then that's that one. Another really fun combination. And I don't mind that it's a little lighter in some places, but if that bothers you, then you would just come back in, you know, and cover up the places that you think are too light. All right, so what's my next one? I think the next one I'm going to do Daffodil Delight. If I can find my daffodil, did I put it up? I'm looking for my dauber. Oh yeah, I put it back. Okay. And so this one I'm going to do a little bit different. So I'm going to bring in the Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to bring that down the front. And then I'm going to come in with the Granny Apple Green. I know this is getting hard to see, but look how pretty this is. If I just put like a regular piece of, like a 4 by 5 1/4, I would be making a design for like the card front, right? That would work too. Okay, so now we're going to bring in Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to be kind of light-handed with this one when I first get this started, so I can you know, work out kind of how I want this coloration to look like. So again, I'm just kind of daubing it on there. And then if you put a little more pressure, it gets it a little bit darker. But now what I want to do is I want to take that Granny Apple Green and I want to actually kind of chalk around the front edge of this seahorse. So now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to chalk these edges to give it a green, like a green border. And, you know, it got in his face a little bit, and that's okay. So I just kind of want to chalk around it so that it brings in that. Okay, so then that's what that looks like. Cute, huh? Cute, cute, cute. All right, so what do I want my last one to be? Let me think here. So I've got that one, that one, that one. I've got that one. So let's do one that's a little more Coastal Cabana. So this one will start on the front to make sure I'm getting one that's got like a Coastal Cabana head and front of the body. Oops. And then I think I'll do the Gorgeous Grape with this one. I've got a lot of Gorgeous Grape, so maybe not. So maybe Let me think. Yeah, I'll do Gorgeous Grape. I like purple. Actually, I like purple and green, so these are kind of my favorite colors here. Except Coastal Cabana is more of a teal. So yeah, this one I think I'm just going to do in 2 colors, just to kind of show you that you can do it with just 2 colors. You don't have to have 3. All right, so then there's that one. So yeah, I love the way they look when you do this. And again, it's just, you know, getting your ink and daubers and just daubing away and getting those colored. So you saw how quickly that went. Again, you're going to want to cut out 6 of those, and that's, you can get 6 out of cutting those out of the 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to close up all these inks. Except I'm going to need Coastal Cabana. Where'd that go? Okay, so now I'm just going to put this to the side. Now, because I'm bringing in white, I'm going to turn this around just in case any of that ink is still wet, just to make sure I don't lay my white card base in anything. And so now what I'm going to do for the front of this, behind the seahorses, I wanted to use this bubble stamp from the stamp set. So we're going to bring this in. And let's see, let me find a block. And I'm actually going to close this because I want to be able to stamp it off the page a little bit, not just everything on the page. And this is going to take just a bit because, and I might stamp off just to begin. So I'm just going to kind of go around. And you notice me stamping off, and that's just because I don't want to get a big, nasty, like blob looking thing when I'm doing this. And then I'm going to kind of turn my stamp a little bit and have it fit a different way. And you can do that like the whole time. You can be turning it back and forth and just, you know, making your bubbles. You can stamp off like I just did, and it doesn't have to be symmetrical. You're just gonna, and then like that one I just stamped once and stamped again, so you can do, that's called 2nd generation stamping, when we go like this and then stamp again. It makes it a little bit lighter. So again, that in itself can give dimension, is when you have some that's a little bit brighter than the others. All right, and so you just kind of continue and just keep stamping until you get it the way that you like it to look. And so I'm going to turn this a little bit more. And again, I'm just going to fill in the bottom. Okay, so there you go. So that's what it looks like when you get all of those bubbles stamped on there. All right, so this is probably the most challenging part of this card. Now, I have showed you this method using press and seal, and unfortunately, I am out of my press and seal, so I'm going to have to freehand this one. And the way that you do the reason that I like the press and seal is because, and if you've never seen that, you can go back on my videos and try to find the one that I use the press and seal. But what's neat about the press and seal is that you can come in and you can lay all your pieces down, and then you put the press and seal down over the top of it, and it holds it all in place when you pull it up. So you're not constantly having to maneuver basically what you're doing. But because I don't have the press and seal, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place one of these at a time, and I am going to be popping them up. And so I'm going to be using the mini dimensionals. And so the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to move this paper now so you can actually see the dimensionals a little bit better. So the first one that I'm going to put is right behind the eye, and that is because I'm going to be covering that eye with something. And so what you're going to want to do is, and I know I cut, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've done this card. So I'm actually going to cut myself some smaller pieces to make it so that it fits where I need it to fit. So like I want like a little strip there and a little strip here. And you know, the biggest challenge here is trying to get enough of it on here so that it will hold it in place, but not so much that it shows through, because you don't want it to show through the front of your little guy, of your seahorse. Okay, so then I'm going to take this one and then I'm going to cut this one in half because I just need one for the tip of that tail down there. That didn't pull the bottom off. All right, but it pulled that one off. All right, so then this is just going to go and cover that tail. So that's kind of where, so I'm going to bring this closer so you guys can see it. Oh, that one fell off. I was like, what just happened? Oh, I didn't get the bottom off of this one either. And I'm not going to pull the topping off until I'm ready to place it, but that's kind of where I placed them. So I have one here, and then I put two here, one here, and one on the tail. All right, so I'm just going to sit here, be patient with me as I get. And the thing is that like there's a couple of these. So, oh, no, that's what I was going to tell you. This is the easiest way to do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the backing off of this one because he's my center one. And so he's the one that is going to kind of determine where all of the other ones will be placed. And the reason that I want to figure out where the other ones are going to be placed is because I don't have to waste my dimensionals on any section that's going to be off of the page. Okay, so this is my first guy, and so I'm going to put him about right here. All right, and remember that's going to be sticky right there because that's the eye. All right, so now I'm going to bring in, let's see, going to bring in this one at the bottom. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of measure where he's going to be, and then I'm going to turn this over, and with a pencil I'm going to just draw a line, and that just kind of tells me don't put any dimensionals past this point. But I'm going to show you a little trick because you don't want this whole bottom section to be, we're going to be putting some stuff over the top of this, so you don't have to worry a lot about it moving or not having it stuck all the way. So the first thing is that eye, okay? Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut these little sections that are going to go on basically his belly. Sorry, I should have gotten some of these ready ahead of time. You know, sometimes I think about that and sometimes I don't, so I apologize. Oh, I don't need to put anything down here. So this one can actually go right there. All right. And again, now I'm going to pull all of this off. I'm going to say this is probably the most challenging. When you do this on a press and seal, basically you just kind of turn the press and seal over and then you add all of the, oh, that tore anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that off since that the press and seal makes it easy. Okay, so that's going to go about right there. All right, so there's that one. So now I'm going to come in with, let's see, what color do I want to use? I think we will do, we need to do one that's a little bit different in color, so maybe this one. Oh, that matches that one a little too much. All right, so maybe this one. Again, I play around with this a lot because I'm just not sure. Let's do maybe this one. I use the Coastal Cabana quite a bit, so that's going to be, okay, yeah, I think we'll do this one. All right. So again, I'm going to kind of put him where I want him. I'm going to turn it over, draw my line so I know that I don't need to put dimensionals below that line. Then I'm going to grab my dimensionals And I know you guys probably got this already, but because I did not, I wanted to show you how to color them, so I didn't have the dimensionals on them yet. Makes sense, right? Okay, and then I'm just gonna cut a little piece, a little strip there as well. And that's gonna go right there. And that should be all we need for this one. So again, I'm just gonna pull those off. You can see I love my Take a Pick tool. I use it for almost everything that I do. All right. Then we're gonna turn that over, turn that card back over, and place this guy right there. All right. So now what I want to do on the ones up here is I actually want to bring them in at an angle. So, and what that's going to cause is I may have to cut off some of the pieces like at the top and some of the stuff that's over here. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of place it like that. And I'm just going to draw my line. And this is just going to kind of tell me, and I don't worry about the spiky things, but it's going to show me where I can put dimensionals. So of course we're going to grab the one for the eye. And then we're going to cut some strips for the belly. And then you'll see that I kind of, because of where this is, I only have a smaller section over here. So I'm going to have to like cut a smaller little strip so that it's, it fits on that side of that line, like so. And then again, I'm just going to pull these off. Whoops. This guy's moving around. And don't worry about that one that's in the eye because we're going to cover those eyes. All right, so then I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to kind of line that up. I don't want his nose to be completely like covered. Okay, so that one's going to be like so. And then this one's going to come in at this angle. So he's going to kind of be coming in from this direction. So again, I'm just going to kind of place him where his, I don't want to cut off their noses for sure. So I'm just going to bring him in like that, and then I'm just going to turn this over and draw that line. So again, I know where to put my dimensionals. And the first one's going to be that eye dimensional. And then let me cut some strips. Whoops, that one just left. All right, and this time I might be only putting one here because again, that's where it's going to cut off, but then I can put a full one right here. So because I have my line right there, I know I don't need another one like I normally do for this piece. And then we're just, so this one's only going to have 3 dimensionals. All right, so then we're going to bring this one in like so. Whoops, I got to get that top in. All right. All right, so there we are. So now what you do is you just flip it over. You can open your card for this side, and then you're just going to trim. Now you may need to put a little bit of glue in certain areas. The bottom ones I don't worry about because we're fixing to put a sentiment over the top of those. And then I guess you wouldn't have to cut these if you didn't want to. I think they would still fit in the card, even though they're over the top. But I did, in the first one I did, I actually trimmed it to fit. And so that's totally up to you, but I would definitely trim this off over here. So then it's coming in like that. And then I trimmed his little tail off, so I'm going to go find his little tail. This is his little tail, and I actually kind of want to bring that tail in like right there, because I just think that looks kind of like he kind of went off the page and then came back in the page. So what I'm going to do with this is, again, I'm going to find just a tiny dimensional, or I think it would be okay if you just even did it with like liquid glue, but I want to pop it up. All right, so I've got to get, so we've got a sticky side and not have it stick to my hand. So that's kind of the fun thing about this, is you can kind of bring in back in some of the parts and pieces. Now I can see that dimensional, so I'm going to trim and make sure I can't. So now I can kind of bring this in and make it look like, you know, the rest of him's out here and then his tail came back in there. So let me show you that. Like so. And then what you might want to do, if you don't like that hanging, because it could catch on something and could get ripped off of the page, any of these little pieces that are kind of coming up like down here. So this is just something that even though it won't be popped up, you can come in with just a like one little dot of liquid glue. Maybe if I can get my liquid glue to, okay. And then I'm just going to kind of lay that underneath this one. And that just kind of helps secure it. But you still have your dimension up here, so it doesn't affect that dimension. But like this little piece right here that I just put on, I think it needs a little more stability. So I'm going to put that liquid glue, and then I'm going to glue that part of it. But again, you can still see the dimension right here. And then if you don't like the way that this kind of flops around, you can do the same thing there. Again, just kind of fold it up. And I'm just putting like little itty bitty dots. I'm not putting a lot of glue. But even though you're gluing like those pieces down, it still looks good because you still have all this other dimension going on. Alrighty, so I'll show you how to finish up with their eyes in just a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our stamp set, and we're going to use this one that says, "I'm always here for you." And we're going to bring in our little basic white strip, and I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape ink. And we're going to stamp our sentiment onto this. Whoops. So we're going to ink this up. Make sure I've got a good covering. Try to get this lined up pretty straight. Stamp. Yay! And then we're going to mat this onto the Gorgeous Grape piece. So I'm going to use my, I think I have my Stampin' Seal Plus out, so that's the one I'm going to use. And so we're going to get that to where it mats on here. Alrighty. Now what I'm going to do is right in the very center of this one, I am going to put a glue dot, a dimensional, and then I'm going to put some liquid glue on these ends. Not quite on the end, but you know, I'm going to say maybe 1/4 of an inch in, because these are going to lay and touch 2 of the seahorses on the front. And so I've got that dimensional to hold it up in the center. And then the glue is going to grab a hold of the seahorse, so it'll help it to stay in place. All right, so then that's going to go just like that. Okay, so I'll do the eyes and finish the front in just a second. So for the inside, I have this 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of gorgeous grape. And we're gonna lay, we're gonna lay this on the inside. Yeah, I showed this card when I was making I call it a smushing technique, when I was using the Goldfish part of this set. And I had a lot of people ask if I would show them how to make this card. So that's why I'm doing this card. All right, so there's that. And then I'm going to bring in my inside 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to, this time I'm going to take this last little seahorse, and I'm going to use liquid glue this time because I don't want to pop him up on the inside. And so I'm just going to kind of hit some of the critical areas that I feel are critical. To making this stay in place. And then I'm just going to glue him right there. And then we're going to take this and turn it over. And again, trim this bottom piece. And then I'm going to come back in with my Stampin' Sale Plus. And I've got some glue on here. This is one of those like crafting sheets, and so glue and stuff doesn't stick to it as bad. And then we're going to bring this in here. I probably should have stamped on this first, but since I didn't, I'll stamp on it in a minute. All right, and then for the inside, so the front says, "I'm here for you always," and the inside, I just thought you should know how wonderful you are. I think everybody needs to hear those words. Don't you agree? I think all of us have something wonderful about each and every one of us, so it's nice to hear those words sometimes. Okay, so we're just going to take this, stamp it like so. And that is the inside of the card. Let me clean that stamp. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with our in color, and I think I'm actually -1. I had these were on back order for a while. Let me see if my, oh, nope, they came in good. I was like, oh, I might not have enough. Okay. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come in with this color here, which is the pale papaya. And I'm going to pull up the bigger ones. And even though they have adhesive backing, they fit perfectly to cover where we had that dimensional on the back of the eye for the seahorse. And, you know, there's different colors. You could color some rhinestones and make these eyes pop a little bit more. But I wanted the eyes to be a little bit subtle for this card. So, again, I'm just going to bring that in. I'm going to have to open my other one. And I'm just going to put one of these, whoops, right over the dimensional. Let me open my second pack here. Oops. Maybe if I can figure out how to open it. Yay! So this is just a really fun card, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me do this because I just wanted to give it some dimension, and I wanted to really color up these fun seahorses. Then I'm going to take 2 of these smaller ones. Whoops, maybe. And I'm going to put one up in this corner. And then I'm going to put one down in this corner. And then hang with me because, I mean, some of you already saw these other cards. And so If you don't want to hang with me because you saw the other cards and you know what I'm talking about, that is all good and fine. But I want to show you how there's two different ways to use these cutouts with this stamp set. All right, so let me bring that closer so you can see the fun sparkly eyes. Isn't that fun? So see, this card looks like it's got a lot, I mean, it looks like it's a lot of work, but it's really not. I mean, it went together pretty fast, and then the inside is just as pretty as the outside. And of course, I don't put a gem here because, again, because of the card closing. Now, I didn't trim this at the top. You would have to see if it still fits in your card. If it doesn't fit, then you would just open that up and trim it. But that's how I made that card for all of you that were wanting to know how I did that. So let me see if I can find, yeah. So here's two. I'm just going to show you two. I did a bunch with this set. But see, here's one where I left the seahorse in and I stamped the bubbles around it, but I did not take it out. And I actually used the daubers to color him, and I just cut that as a strip. And then here's the goldfish doing the same thing. I just took this piece of paper, cut the goldfish out, but I left it in the paper and was able to do this one with that design. So you can either cut them out, you can leave them in the paper, and they look, I mean, they look good both ways. So this, again, this is just a really fun set. But, you know, I remember when I first cut with these dies, I was like, what's wrong? It's not cutting it all the way out. And then I realized, oh, it was designed to let us do either or. So this is the card I did tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you guys will make a version of this card or this exact card. And I hope you'll like get adventurous with some of the colors, and let's see how many beautiful sea fish we can do. So anyway, guys, I thank you for watching. Again, I'm sorry I'm not live. I am probably at this moment sitting at a baseball game watching my grandson play baseball. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this, and I hope I inspired you in some way to start getting creative and putting some cards together. I really appreciate all of you being here, even though I'm not with you tonight. Don't forget, you can still leave comments. I would love to hear from you so I know what you think of these cards. But I hope you guys have a good week, and I will, well, actually, so it's July when this one posts, and so this Saturday is going to be my stamp class. So if you're signed up for my stamp class, don't forget that will be Saturday at 10 o'clock. And then the Thursday, all of you Thursday gals, yours is going to be July 15th. And don't forget, guys, special, starting July 1st, Stampin' Up! Is having that big designer series paper sale. So make sure you go to the site, go to juliebrown.stampinup.net and check out what is on sale and see if you can get a good deal on some fun designer series paper. So I hope everybody, I think when you see this, it will probably... I'm trying to think if it's going to be before 4th of July or after, but if it's not 4th of July yet, happy 4th of July. And if it's after 4th of July, happy belated 4th of July. I hope everybody enjoyed their, I think it's going to be after because it's the 3-day weekend. So guys, again, I appreciate you more than you ever know. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. And for those of you coming to class on Saturday, I will see you then. Talk to you later. Bye.